Okay, so this recent interview with Tasha K. Smith and Bilal, who is Will Smith's former best friend, really got me thinking. What is the price of your integrity? Because most people think that integrity is just a value or something you talk about or like a nice to have until they're put into a situation where all of a sudden that integrity gets tested. And that's when you realize that integrity isn't even just a virtue. And if you really want to see if somebody has it, put a whole bag of cash in front of them and ask them to compromise or bend a little bit and see what happens. What would you do in that situation? And one of the things that you have to keep in mind is most of these corrupt systems only exist because they believe that people can be controlled and bought. And I'm not saying this to judge anyone, because some of us have been in similar situations more than we'd like to admit. And the thing is that with integrity, it really shows up when money, relief, and fear is all presented to you on the exact same table. So if you don't decide who you are before that moment shows up, best believe is going to decide for you. So that's why this conversation is really important, because I wanted to show you how you recognize when this moment comes before it costs you something that you can't get back. So grab a snack, grab a pen and paper, and let's dive right on in. Now, for those who don't know this interview that I'm talking about between Bilal and Tasha K. Smith, I'm going to recap it for you briefly just so we're all on the same page here. So Bilal is the former best friend of Will Smith. They've known each other for 40 years. So this interview involving with Tasha K. Smith, I think it was his second interview that he did. He was pretty much sharing allegedly things that took place, things involving Will Smith and his wife, Jada Smith, allegedly things like abuse, tapes, manipulation, retaliation, allegedly. And the thing about this interview is that he had paperwork, like legal paperwork, to back up everything that he said. And one of the things that he highlights is that this is a consistent thing that you see in Hollywood, where these rich and powerful people, they use money, NDAs, these third parties to control the narrative and to really silence people. So after that interview he did, the first one, Bilal said that allegedly that Will and Jada reached out through an intermediary or third party, asking him and also offering money allegedly to say a script and also retract some of the statements that he made, to which he turned down. And you have to realize that they're in a legal battle. So this is now, according to Bilal, he said that it's witness tampering. And they're also trying to allegedly coerce him as well. And it then led to other well-known people saying disparaging things about him, bashing his name in the public eye, and led to some alleged, harassment that he experienced as well. And he also mentioned that he went through a near-death experience when he was in Colombia. He said that allegedly some people were sent out to show him a message, and it led to him and his driver being injured in a car accident. And on top of all of this, one of the most explosive things that he talked about in this interview was the downfall of really Bashar Gray. And if you guys don't know who Bashar Gray is, he was the actor, one of the hit stars in that show Empire. I think he played Hakeem Lyon, which was the third youngest son of Cookie Lyon and Lucius Lyon, played by Terrence Howard and Taraji P. Henson. Really, really popular show at the time. Bilal said that allegedly Will and this man named Charlie Mack, who's a film producer and also a friend of Will, told him to go see Bashar Gray in Chicago, almost to sort of mentor / calm him down a little bit. Now, at the time, Bilal didn't know all the dirty deeds that allegedly took place. So when he arrived in Chicago and he saw Bashar allegedly acting out, being erratic, having relations with male escorts, just doing crazy things, that was when it was revealed to Bilal that, Bashar Gray said that he was allegedly abused by Diddy, Will, and Charlie Mack.
In the book, in one of the chapters, it talk about mentorship. At this time, of course, I do celebrity product placement. And for the people who don't know, you have to basically have a relationship with hundreds of celebrities in order to make money, because you're taking your product to many celebrities. Allegedly, Charlie Mack and Will called me and said, we're coming to your apartment. I'm like, all right, cool. So, but normally I have to go to Will's house if there's a meeting. So Will comes to my apartment allegedly, and Charlie Mack, the rat, the informant, come to my apartment. So they was like, hey, B, look, man, we got this new guy. Will is mentoring. His name is Bashir Gray. Everybody call him Yaz. He's about to get cast on this major show. I'm like, okay, what would you want? I'm thinking they coming to get product. Bashir was supposed to allegedly star in the reboot of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So I said, look, Will, what do you want me to do? He said, I want you to go to Chicago and hold this guy down. I remember like it was yesterday. I turned the computer around. I said, Will, that's what's in my bank account right now, right? Will started laughing, right? And said, I'm gonna make sure you get double that over the course of time. That's my guarantee. So I'm like, sheesh. I said, okay. So he said, just make sure you hold them down, because he was like, Charlie Mack is not gonna be able to be there, because him and Charlie had something else going on. I arrived in Chicago for Empire. It's a damn mess. It's no other way to put it. This dude is going crazy, right? He's out there allegedly with male prostitutes. He's pissing in the trailer. He's acting psychotic, right?
The same thing he's doing now.
Beyond that. But this is why a show is going on. I pulled him to the side. I said, listen, I'm here to help you, and so forth and so on. So he was like, all right, I feel that. He said, everybody on the set know you. Everybody seem like they love you. Okay. I want to love you because everybody else love you. I said, if that's what you want to do, then do it. But he kept acting up. And then one day I said, what the F is wrong with you? And he was like, you know. He said, Will raped me. Diddy made me suck his penis. You know what's going on. Charlie made me suck. And I said, I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea. So he crying, no blood is coming from his nose. Yes, you do. And I'm like, yo, listen. So I grabbed my hug and I said, listen, I don't know. I didn't know what happened. Nothing. I was just asked to come. Is this
true?
Yeah. No. I'm gonna let you about to see if it's true from the paperwork. Oh, we telling something that got paperwork involved. Let me get to the paperwork.
As I mentioned earlier, Bilal didn't know what was going on, so he ended up allegedly confronting Will and Charlie about the situation, and then it led to lawyers getting involved, NDAs having to be signed between Bilal and Bashar Gray, so neither parties will talk about it. And the only reason why we know about this story is because Bashar Gray broke the NDA, and that was how we all know the story because he was able to talk about it in the interview. And then an interesting thing that he pointed out was that Charlie Mack and Will allegedly, settled the situation with Bashar, and he was pretty much alluding to them allegedly paying him off to sort of, keep the situation calm and cool. And then on top of that, in the interview, he then said that there were alleged tapes that Jada Smith accused him of stealing allegedly.
Back to these alleged tapes.
Okay, let's go back to the alleged tapes.
Who else did you see allegedly on the tapes?
Tyrese was on there.
I'm so glad Tyrese ain't got no money to sue me right now.
And Charlie Mack was on there. Will and allegedly, I would appear to be Tyrese with Will and Jada. Then the one with Charlie Mack and Will, Jada's not on it, but you can hear her say, make him spit up. These tapes come out, people will know I'm telling the absolute truth.
And that was then what led to court proceedings and even more suits against each other. The whole thing was just a huge mess on its own. Once he refused to cooperate, that's where the situation then escalated into threats and intimidation and fear of safety for his life, which is why he ended up having to leave the USA. And he mentioned that other people that was connected to these situations, the alleged victims, he said that a lot of them, they took the incentive, they took the money allegedly. So a lot of them were silenced, which is why we don't see those stories coming out. One of the things that he revealed in this interview was that he was gonna, write a book really detailing all this information. And apparently that book was so graphic that the publishing company that he sent the sample to said that, yeah, in order for them to publish it, he had to water it down a little bit before any seller will pick it up. So that's when he decided to turn down that money and decided to write it independently. And even Bilal was offered allegedly the same money from Will and Jada. You're gonna hear me saying allegedly a lot, just for legal reasons, but even he was offered money, he said, but he chose truth and the discovery that was going to come with that over taking their quote unquote dirty money. His integrity really showed in those situations. And after watching the interview, it really got me thinking that why is he going through all of this, knowing that his life is being threatened or his life is at risk here? And I love how he put it in their interview. He mentioned towards the end that once you go through a near-death experience and you've touched or you've kissed the face of death, you fear no man afterwards. Because at that point, you got nothing to lose. And it reminds me of the situation with 50 Cent when he got, shot 9 times and he healed and recovered from that. And you see how he moves today in the industry, very confident, very savage and ruthless. And is because of that near-death experience really changed him. So overall, the fear of people disappears when the fear of death is gone. So when you got nothing to lose, that's when people's control over you loosens up a lot. And the thing is in the circle and in the minds of these powerful people, when you're around that space, a lot of the bad deeds they do becomes so normalized that it's just a part of the lifestyle. And in some people's mind, they can't wait to do the exact same thing that these so-called powerful people are doing when they reach the exact same level. So if you're seeing bad behavior normalized in those settings, it only makes using money to silence someone a very normal thing to do. It's just a part of the game. Because people convince themselves, well, if everybody else is doing it, why can't I do it? And you're completely ignoring the fact of any form of morality here. And once it starts happening, money starts becoming the tool used to clean up any mess, any dirt, any bad behavior that occurred, instead of using it to fix up your character. And a lot of these people that you see at the top, they're all damaged and hurt people because they've most likely been abused themselves. And there's a high statistic of people that have been abused and haven't really healed from it. They end up causing that exact same hurt, that pain to others. So that saying hurt people is really true. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of these corrupt systems, they survive because they think that everybody has a price at the end of the day. And we've seen the stories over the years with very powerful people. We've seen it with Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, Diddy most recently. And it's not just in the celebrity world that you see this happening. This also happens in business, in politics, even in relationships. So for example, in business, let's say you're working in corporate, right? And you discover something unethical, maybe some inflated numbers here, or someone acting a little bit inappropriate over here, or people, cutting corners that's gonna lead to potential risk down the line. And then when you confront it to your leadership team, they offer you a promotion or a raise or some type of exit strategy just to buy your silence a little bit in order not to make this an even bigger issue than it is. And the same thing happened to one of my friends. I remember she was telling me recently that, she was working at a company where she experienced and also witnessed a lot of discrimination and racism and mistreatment and also work overload that was not a part of her pay. And she then confronted it to the leadership team about all the things that were happening, as well as situations of a potential scam with some of the customers. And once she raised it to them and it became a bigger issue with HR, they had to let her go and she was fired from the job. So at that point, they did not give a damn because they knew what was going on. And you also see the same thing happen in politics. So for example, let's say if you're part of a campaign team or you're part of the office administration team and you see something that crosses the line and you're told to, stay quiet, and you're promised future roles, you're promised access to these spaces, access to power. And that's exactly what happened to Michael Cohen back in 2016 during the Trump administration election between him and Hillary Clinton. So he was involved with arranging hush money payments to Stormy Daniels, who's like an adult entertainment actress, and this model, Carrie McDougal, and he paid them hush money to suppress any sort of damaging scandals and stories that was going to come out to the public. So at that point, do you prioritize truth and your conscience, or do you choose silence in order to preserve your power, your access, and any form of long-term opportunity that could come? So in this case, money is then used as a tool to control the narrative and also control the timing as well. And once Cohen broke that silence, he lost all access to the protection and the status that he had at the time. And you also see this exact same thing happen in relationships as well. So let's say if one partner makes more money than the other person or has a bigger status and fame and is hurting you emotionally, and they're using gifts, money, or experiences to sort of buy you and to silence you. And now you're leaning on them for some type of financial support and security. And this is a very common thing that you see with very high profile celebrity relationships or athlete relationships as well. So you got to ask yourself, do you accept the comfort and minimize your emotions and what just happened in order to keep this facade and this lifestyle that you have? So I'm just showing you different examples just so you can see that this is a repeated pattern in different aspects of life. So it's not a celebrity problem. This is a real human problem. And it happens in everyday spaces where you see money, access, and comfort being used as a leverage and tool. And this is very common in situations where people are vulnerable or they're tired or they're trying to survive. That's really when integrity gets tested the hardest. So for example, you can have a rising star that's a little bit more naive and young, but they're up and coming and they're about to break through. And the thing is that if they don't have some type of grounding, some type of moral compass, and they're fearing man instead of fearing God, that will easily be used against them with the wrong crowd and the wrong people. And this also happens with people too that have a poverty mindset, because when your mind thinks like that, your decision makings are a little bit more narrow, because at the end of the day, financial vulnerability makes it easier to control someone. And the thing is, powerful people know this, and they feel that when you're financially vulnerable, they feel like they can control and take advantage of you and then maybe buy your silence later on. So without any emotional, financial, or even community to really support you, it's very easy for your integrity to buckle underneath that environment and underneath pressure. And you see this happen a lot too in very disorganized, corrupt countries. And I'm intentional with saying disorganized because every country is corrupt, both first world and third world countries. The only difference is some are more manageable and the corruption is a little bit more organized versus others. But there are places in the world where there's just not enough infrastructure and resources there to really support the people and the citizens. And you have evil politicians up there embezzling the money, doing all these evil deeds while your people they're out there suffering and hungry. This is why integrity isn't just personal, but it's also structural as well. And I'm sharing all this with you guys not to try and scare you, but just so that we can slow things down a little bit more. Because once you understand how vulnerability is or may be used against you, you can stop waking up in those moments unprepared. So the question, you can start asking yourself is, how do you protect your integrity when those moments actually show up? Before money, comfort, and access gets involved in the equation? How do you stay grounded even when the offer feels so tempting and so inviting? Well, I'm about to share you 7 tips that's going to help you with this. Number 1, define your non-negotiables before any pressure hits. So when I say define, I mean really sit down and define your values. I mean, there's a reason why if you look at almost every religion in this world, all of them have some type of written word and document that they live by. So Christians, we have the Bible. You have Muslims that have the Quran. You have Jews that have their Torah. It's all written down to live by. So you have to sit down and you have to write your own set of conduct and how you want to present yourself and move about life. And you see, even with people that are about to get married, couples that they go through this prenuptial stage, it's always advisable to do it before they get married while they're still in love and everything is all rosy, because you can make that decisions. You can set the right foundation when things are still calm, when there's love there, versus when you're getting a divorce and you guys are arguing and fighting about how to split assets, who's going to get custody of the kids. It all ends up being a total mess. So when you're in that calm, that chill state, you're essentially using the prefrontal. I think I'm going to put a diagram up in here. You're using your prefrontal cortex. And this is the side of the brain where you can make rational decisions. This is your decision-making part, where you can think about long-term planning. You can think about moral reasoning. You can think about things with a little bit more clarity. So when you're in that chill, calm state, that's the part that's really in charge. Now, when you're in your hot stage, like hot, you're using your amygdala. And this is the animalistic, emotional, irrational side of your brain. This is the part that detects threat and danger. And if for people that have crash outs, i.e. Huda from Love Island, and if you guys don't know that reference, you must be living under a rock, because that was the main topic for the summer of 2025. So people that crash out, this part of the brain gets activated. And when this happens, your thinking starts to become narrow and more survival driven. So any sense of reasoning or whatever moral compass you have, forget about it. It's not happening when you're in this state of mind. So as I mentioned earlier, always be mindful to operate and also to set that foundation when things are calm waters. Now, the second thing you have to keep in mind is practicing the newspaper test. And what I mean by that is, before any, major decision that you make, always think about, if this decision was publicized in front of a newspaper or it became viral, would you be proud of it? Like, would you be proud of people finding out? Would you be proud of this moment? Does that reflect how you see yourself long term? Because a lot of people get caught up with the instant gratification and they're not thinking about the longevity of things. They're not thinking about how this would affect them long term. And this can be whether in business deals, relationships, it applies anywhere. So this simple exercise, it cuts through any sort of short-term gain, and you start thinking about that long-term reputation that you're striving for. Now, the third thing you got to do is now cultivate a group of trusted advisors, trusted people that you respect. And these are people that are going to keep you accountable. You notice how I mentioned earlier that it's more important to find people that you respect versus love, because mind you can love someone but have absolutely no respect for them and wouldn't even think twice to listen to their advice. So it's more important for you guys to respect these set of advisors that you cultivate in your circle and really commit to having regular sessions with them. And these are people that shouldn't be afraid to check you when needed and are going to help you stay accountable, going to help you stay grounded, and will be there for support. And one of the things that comes to mind is Jalen Hurts. And if you don't know who he is one of the most talented football players that exists. He's a quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. And one thing that stood out was that his whole team, and by team I mean his agent, his marketing person, his communications person, his management, all of them are all women. And he did that on purpose. And the thing you have to understand is that this is a very male-dominated industry where a lot of these roles are held by men. But he did that on purpose because he didn't just want to, yes, it was important to have talented people on board, but it was also important because having women in those roles gave him the perspective that he valued, and it helped broaden his point of view.
Having an all-female team has allowed me to see things from a different perspective. I think it's honestly been a boost, kind of a secret weapon, if you will, having their point of view in my back pocket and being able to use those things in the decisions that I make.
What is it about your team being predominantly women that is so important to you?
Well, I think for me personally, I think all women are deserving of every opportunity in terms of equality to go out there and do what they want to do. And I think for me, I just gravitated towards women. It wasn't, an intentional thing where I want to get all women on my team, but I just gravitated towards them. The work that the mindset that they had, the will to work, and their intentions. I believed in them, and I know people may say it's first. It's the first that you've probably seen it, but hopefully it's the first of many because there are many dogs out there. I have a team full of dogs, and I have a lot of respect for them. They do their thing,
and I have no doubt that was one of the reasons why he's so successful today, because he has that team of trusted advisors surrounding him and keeping him in check. And it helps because knowing that you have a team of people that you'll have to explain yourself to, that have integrity and value, is really key when you're in those spaces. Now, the fourth thing you have to keep in mind is reframing that loss as an investment. And I know this part might be tricky for people because when there's a setback, it almost feels like the end of the world. And I've been there. But that saying is really true when they say every setback is a setup for another comeback. And even for me, like I've had situations where I've lost deals and opportunities and I would beat myself up for it. And it would emotionally get to me, but I would allow myself to feel it out for a good 24 hours. And then afterwards, I would then think about how to restructure, how to recalibrate, how to refine and learn from my mistakes, how to pretty much everything. So that way I could come back a lot stronger and my character is a lot more developed. So for you watching, view those moments of losses as ways to flex your ethical muscles, ways of improving your character development. Those moments that you walked away that didn't feel right is pretty much you paying your dues to uphold that integrity. Now, the fifth thing to keep in mind is build financial and emotional buffers so that way your integrity isn't fragile. When you're in a financially desperate situation, your integrity becomes one of the hardest things to try and keep. And it also becomes one of the hardest things to protect because you're operating in survival mode. So that's why it's always important to have, multiple streams of income, have some type of savings account or investment account, learn about financial literacy, have some type of game plan or backup plan in place, things that will cushion you. And that's why you see a lot of entertainers and rappers, after they've made some money in that industry, they then pivot and start businesses. You saw it happen with Rihanna. I think around like 2015 or 2016, like she just stopped music and she focused her energy, her money, her time into opening up Fenty Beauty and Savage X Fenty. And then that became a global powerhouse and put her in the billion-dollar status. You also see it with Megan Thee Stallion. She then became a franchise owner of Popeyes. She has a clothing line, a swimwear line called Hot Girl Summer. She also has a tequila company. So These are people that diversify their money in order to help them stay empowered. So having money saved up or, multiple income streams changes your ability to say no to any unethical opportunities that present itself. So that way your survival isn't tied to that next paycheck. So now, the sixth thing to do is to now prescript ways of saying no. In life, you're going to be under pressure at some point, whether it's family, friends, relationships, business, the random person down the street trying to test you. It's going to come. So anticipate scenarios where you might be pressured and have a ready-made answer to say. And it doesn't have to be like anything crazy or complex. It just has to be concise, firm, simple, straight to the point. That is you setting your boundaries. So it could be something as simple as, I appreciate the opportunity, but that's against my professional principles. Or, I can't do that, but here's what I can do. And for me personally, I've worked in sales for a number of years now. And I remember one of the things that you always have to prepare yourself was objection handling. And most of the objections we got was always price related, or the timing wasn't right, or maybe there was some type of fear or risk that you had to uncover. It was all part of the game. And it was always important that there was answers to address the situation, their concern, and also response back with the appropriate answer. So that way you're not in that meeting sweating, trying to figure out what to come up with in the moment. Because when you practice something enough, your responses become automatic. You don't even think about it. Especially when you're under pressure, it all of a sudden becomes a natural thing to say because you've rehearsed it so many times. Now, the seventh thing to keep in mind is conducting personal internal audits. So what I mean by that is having check-ins with yourself, seeing how you're doing, and analyzing the decisions you made. Because in as much as it's great to have a team of advisors to check you, it's also good to be able to check yourself. So people do this through prayer time, which is my number one way of having those internal sessions, praying to God, journaling. Some people meditate, whatever it is for you, just having that downtime to really analyze your decisions, figure out, was I aligned, when I made that decision, or was I trying to compromise here or bend a little bit? So conduct those regular audits because that's what's going to help you keep you mentally sane. So just to summarize what was already discussed, at the end of the day, this isn't about being perfect, but it's about us being prepared. Because when these pressure tests come, there's no warning sign. There's nobody holding up a sign saying, hey, be aware. So you almost have to already have those boundaries set in place. Because most people don't fail morally. They fail because they were unprepared, or they didn't have those boundaries set, or they didn't stand 10 toes down on their boundaries to protect their integrity. Because the real danger at the end of the day isn't really the offer itself. It's what you have to give up in order to accept this incentive. What are you compromising at the end of the day? Because you have to be able to sleep at night, mind you. And I like my sleep. I don't know about you guys, but I need to be able to sleep at night knowing that I conducted business well, that I served the people I was called to serve, and I did it in the most integral way possible. So walking away from something may feel like a loss in the moment, but the more you do it, the more it increases your self-trust, it increases your respect for yourself, your confidence, and you also have peace of mind. And no amount of money can buy that peace that you have. Because having integrity that is unbuyable, now that's real power right there. Now, for those who stay till the very end, you are a true gem. Take some time after this to really think about, where might this integrity test show up in my life? And comment down below because I want to hear how you guys are going to respond to it. Who are the type of people that you want to embody and be at the end of the day? And if you like more intimate deep dives and conversations like this, join the Shh and Listen community and listen to this next video. This is just for you. Until next time.